this layer of skin. I had to develop a really callous skin on me to take whatever you're gonna call me, you're gonna call me. Whatever I'm gonna be, you know, I want to geek, but whoever I am, you're gonna see me. You're gonna see me for who I am, because I need to change who I'm not. And that accountability just became raw. And I became fat over the years, and I fell back in the hole. I called myself fat because I was fat, and people don't want to do that. They want to say, "Oh, don't call yourself fat. Don't call yourself dumb." If you're not real and raw with who the fuck you are, nothing's going to change. And in this nice new world that we live in, we want to hear, "You're just a little big." No, man, you might be fat. And it's okay to hear that from yourself. So that's where I started at.
Haven't done these stable workouts for a very long time, so
but I'm also proud of myself to be able to tell myself that
I'm gonna try to. I'll be starting with
that's what I really want.
5 sets of each,
is that
10 reps probably.
Say those things.
Light enough weight, I don't know exact weight, but this table is homemade. This is 3 bricks. So we're starting with 3 bricks, 5 sets, 10 reps on each arm, and then I'm going to slowly put the weight up as I progress in these exercises during the days I will be working out.
No, it ain't that.
So
you read my book, this is hard work every day on my head. I had to be honest with you, man. I'm even shaking right now being on this show. Big-time interview. How you address it is you face it. You face it every day. You face it every single day of your life. Where you say, okay, like if you're fat, you need to lose weight.
So one
There's
set.
patience in this fact of accepting who you are right now. I'm fat. I don't like myself.
It's actually a bit too light, I think. Let me get some extra weight.
That's a huge purpose. You have to live in your own fucking world. You cannot judge yourself. That's why social media and all these things are horrible. You can't judge yourself off of the so-called competition that we have made up in our mind. How people look, how people act, how smart someone is. This is a race that you run completely alone.
No.
And you're all by yourself.
So I can switch the handle.
All over my mirror.
I can hold it like this.
Be better than John, or
I can hold it like
whoever.
this.
Okay, David. Yesterday
I will be switching them around. One
today,
set I will do like this, the other one I will do like this.
So I had a year old, weekly goals, daily goals, hourly goals. The big ones, I lied about. I wanted to be accepted. And one goal was, let's go one day without lying. Let's go one day and then I would lie to somebody. I would say, hey man, I have to go back now and apologize. Say, hey man, I lied to you. You know how hard it is to go back to somebody and say, I lied to you? And you know, back there, I lied to you. I was really jacked up. So I had these ways of holding accountability. Like right now, I had to run this room before I thought to. Because why? That's what I'm about. I'm about mind, man, body, feelings. A lot of folks talk so much.
So when I will be resting,
about, hey, I'm gonna
I will work on the grippers
I'm gonna do that.
just to get the pump in the forearms.
Are you accountable? And I mean to the T for what you're saying. I am. And that's where it started. It started with that total accountability of, let's not lie to people. Let's tell people the truth about who you are. And when you get on and tell someone, like I'm doing right now, exactly how fucked up you are, that's the goal in life. To put your life on a billboard, on the busiest road, in the busiest highway in the world, and say, this is how fucked up I used to be. Take it or leave it.
There's some we talked that didn't really understand why the being called a Niger on your book, and you said that was one of the best things that ever happened to principals. Oh, they're just ignorant. And you said that in that moment I realized nobody was coming to save me. And it hit me. But I didn't really understand it until I read the book. And in reading the book, really understanding how one thing after another, from the abuse from your father to fleeing that to your mom being MIA and then thinking she's finally found out, and then the fucking guy gets murdered the day after Christmas. I was like, dude, Really
I think this dumbbell is what?
And
It's not that much weight,
seeing
but
that now and hearing you
because
tell the
I'm
story,
mixing up the
I realize
exercise, it's
that's
not bad.
the crux of it.
It's 14 kg, so
How did you stop feeling sorry for yourself?
just get the pump in the
If
forearm.
you really sit back at your life and you in that dark room and you're looking at where you started from, and you tell yourself, God, dog, man, my mom is this way, my stepdad got murdered, my dad beat the shit out of me, I can't read and write to save my fucking soul, I've lied about it to everybody, I've cheated on all these tests. My God, man. When you put a goal in your mind,
Get that pump going.
how you gonna feel, man, when you accomplish this goal,
Okay.
coming from that shit?
I think I'll do
Coming from the fucking hell you came from.
these
I'm gonna
ones.
start from a good starting point. You have a good foundation. What if you can surpass all of these motherfuckers? What if everybody who was fucking way up here started up here, and you started with no legs. You had to grow fucking legs so you can start walking, and then crawling, and then running, and then you start passing people, and all this given to them. I had to use all this negative shit that was making me weak and horrible as a person. I had to use this as the power that now fueled me. I had to flip it on his head and say, hold up. This might be exactly what I need. The darkness is exactly what I need. It's how you look at your situation. And I was looking at it all fucked up.
In the book, you tell people to make a list of everything working against them, every real, valid excuse.
Right.
Why do you have to do that?
There's a lot of power in that list. So, in that list of who you are, what makes you fucked up, all these other things, it goes back to, once again, accepting. You have to first accept it. A lot of people walk around, oh man, I'm good. I'm good. No, you're not. You have to accept what you get. You can't really do that. The only way you can fix it, you have to accept it before you can go on a journey. Wow, that's how you start the journey, man. You have to start the journey because you're living this fake life that people want to, they act like they are, but they're not, because they haven't fixed all this stuff yet. You gotta fix this first before we can start on the journey. So that's why I had to make this list. Fix these problems, and I'm going to begin, because we don't care about how people are judging you. When you care more about how someone's judging you, you're going to stay right there.
Greetings from
There's no
Ireland, my friend.
So that's what I'm about that list.
Alright, speaking of making that list,
Very nice.
where you're at,
Paid.
so that you can address it.
Thanks for
In the
checking
book,
in.
You talk about
So, what's
what
next?
things are that you're going to be doing. You're going to be putting the list together.
Deeper
How
again.
do people go about using
that
that
pump
as
going.
the accountability mirror? How do they go about addressing each of those issues?
Okay. So, let's say the first one is, you're not the smartest person in school. I had that issue. So my big thing was, how I addressed that problem was, I had to sit down. Each thing that is wrong with you has to be a focal point. You can't look at this gigantic list and say, I gotta change all this shit. My God, this is crazy. No.
The cool thing about this is
Take off
that
the first one. I want to be smart.
maybe there will be
For me,
somebody
I
who will be watching me
I have to become more
who
intelligent.
knows or who notices if I'm doing something wrong. And if that's the case, you're more than welcome to let me know
And
and
then strategize in
tell
that
me,
one problem.
because
How can I do this? I'm not going to
I'm
learn
still
like
learning
you.
myself, you know, I'm not
How am I going to figure this out?
some kind
So I
of
then figured out, okay.
coach or
what am I
anything in
gonna do?
armwrestling.
Weaknesses in learning. All right, man.
So I'm just learning as I go myself.
The way to do it. Like
See
this
what works, what
strategy.
doesn't.
How I learn to this day.
And
If I have a big manual
let's
today,
take this to the next level.
I will have to do just I will know. From a dad and each page, I have to get each page out. Page dive that I got 18 months before I went to dive school. Most people are not smart and go to the test. I realize, hold on a second, I'm not smart. How can I get through this obstacle? I need to try to get 18 months in advance. It's going to take 18 months to write down each page over and over again. And then put it to memory.
My life is still a bit sore here.
I had written that question
After
so
the
many
tournament
times down
injury.
on
Still
paper
not
that I can
100%
recall
healed,
page
but
71
definitely getting
was what I
better.
remember seeing this. And I can recall it that
Okay.
way. And that's how I did it. So you gotta strategize on each problem you have in life.
So what other
Slowly
exercises I
break
will
down
do?
that problem. Don't think about all the problems you have.
Pronation,
One at a
I
time.
have
And before you know it,
different
it's
kind of
all these
handles.
problems
So
you
this
cannot
is for
focus
cupping
on.
most likely.
Just on
Yeah,
one
it is
thing at a time.
for
There's a
cupping.
concept in your book that it permeates the whole book. And
I
think
use these
it
belts
really is
for
one of the most important
pronation.
things for people to understand in their own life, certainly to understand
So we can
just
just
the notion of trusting mediocrity.
Up,
Talk to me about that. How did you instill it in your life?
Wrap it around.
People instill it in theirs?
That's one of the biggest things.
pronation.
A lot of us mediocrity is
Can attack my riser as well like
we're
this.
also to find an easy way out. When we're judging
Or
ourselves. Let's
supination.
understand people in this room. We're all mediocre.
That's actually a good one that I should work on
Of the
to
mediocre.
get rid of the pains.
I now think I'm great.
And what
I'm
else
great.
I have?
We surround ourselves
I
around
have
people that make us feel great. They
this is
tell us
pretty
what
much
we
similar
want to
one.
hear. The second we put
This one I
ourselves
use
amongst
for-
the uncommon people, we don't like that feeling. That challenge and feel that of that person
For
with
my
the
back.
say, hey, push your shit on, we're
So I
going for a
can put
run.
more weight like
We
this
don't
and
like that challenge.
just
We
keep
like
the
that
angle
person that says, hey,
pull
really
and
good,
hold.
man. And they say, oh, it's okay, brother.
Pull
Oh,
and
brother,
hold.
you said shit off again.
And I can put it up here to attack my
We love that
riser
feeling,
as well.
because you understand, man, with this, bro.
Pull
You don't want that motherfucker like this. Hey, man, no, bro. Get your
and
fucking
I
shit
have
off.
lots of different types
Stop being a
of
punk.
bands.
You don't want that in life. We don't want that
So
person.
this handle should do the job for some time.
We want that person constantly.
Also what I can do is
nice and good and secure in ourselves.
I just take
That's
my
the mediocrity of life. We want to be the best
dumbbell
amongst the
and I
average.
can work on
People wonder how do we
pronation like
stay
this
hungry all the time. Because after I accomplish something,
or on the
I
riser.
sit back like a lot of guys
So
who graduate
just go
buzz,
down and
graduate
up.
this, graduate
Ooh.
that, they get comfortable. They wonder why
Okay,
I'm so
let's
weak,
go.
man. I don't know, lost my ass.
Let's get a bit of blood in the
Once you hit
biceps.
the top of the fucking mountain, guess what happened? I'm good. I'm good, so you wonder why you're falling down now. Because once you hit the top of the mountain, you gotta build a fucking another one. That's mediocrity. There's a lot of people in mediocrity who have a nice resume, but they're one-timers, man. They hit a one-time deal, they busted it open, got a lot of money, but they're good. You're mediocre now, man. What are you fucking doing today, tomorrow, the next fucking day? That's why I don't listen to theorists. I don't listen to all that bullshit. I listen to a motherfucker who's like this, man. What's wrong, man? I'm fucking tired, dude. Why are you tired? Because tomorrow, I'm gonna do the fucking shit.
I don't know if there's anybody watching, but if you are, can you let me know how is the quality and the sound?
And that's the person I
I
listen
would
to.
appreciate.
That's the person who's gaining knowledge. You gain knowledge.
Okay, let's
And
go.
on the other end of suffering is a world that very few ever see. It's a beautiful world. You find yourself. You don't find yourself in a field. You find yourself on the other field. Like that 100-mile race I was on, I ran in 4 hours. I found myself on the other field of the race. That 19 hours, I found, wow, it's a whole world out here. The world is different. And that's the hardest thing about this job. This job is dangerous. Not getting civilized is about having a established. Civilized is something that people, it's a comfortable world. A lot of us say, like for instance, I see these athletes right now who retire, I'm 38, I'm 39, I did 20 years at the top of my game, and I'm chilling out now. You see them a year later in Hollywood. What the hell just happened to you, dude? What the hell? You're one of the greatest athletes of all time. Kids looked up to you. Women, men, all ages looked up to you. And they hit the pinnacle where it's time to retire, and their mind says, wow, I'm civilized. The worst thing that could ever happen to any human being is they become civilized. It's that total accountability. Like even when you
Not too
retire as a
good.
motherfucker,
Not too bad.
I mean, judge you
There's
right
the
now, man.
blood.
I was the baddest
Alright.
person that ever lived. Doesn't go away, man. You gotta wake up, even though you retired, you never retired. You're setting the example every single day of your life. And being civilized feels so good. I'm sorry, man. Once you get to the top, you never retire. You never
Okay, let's go.
You're not judged. People see you fall. You want to be that guy who knows I may be retired from the sport or forever I did. If you ever see me running that shit, feel that shit, I'm riding. People, I've arrived with that. You're always setting the example. Civilization feels so good. These comforts are what people want comfort time. They need that thing. It's a learning field.
Yeah, the light is probably a bit too light. That's okay, it's my first day.
My God, man.
Starting this, so with time I'll put more weight and see where we go.
I'm good now. You think I'm we do the same shit. Fucking interview does though. Polishing over my head. I once had growing up.
Okay.
Every day.
So that was
shit.
5th set.
I
I could probably do 10 of them, which means there is way too little weight. So let me add a bit more weight and then.
The way that I think about that is very, very similar, and I've got to imagine this is one of the things that makes you one of the most misunderstood humans on the planet, is, to me, driving that hard, being that hungry, pushing long after everybody stops, has nothing to do with anybody but myself. And my drug of choice is how I feel about myself when I'm by myself. Like, nobody knows how hard I work, and nobody's ever going to know. Not even my wife is up enough to see how much I really work. But it doesn't matter, because the way that it makes me feel, like in this moment right now, where I get to say, the world doesn't know, I could be lying, but I would know. And the way that I feel right now, because I know how true it is, that nobody's outworking me. That to me is the juice. And when people understand that what you're fighting to build, the reason that I'm wearing a shirt that says what we're doing, the reason that I chant Goggins, like the crowd was chanting Goggins.
Okay.
The reason that's so resonant is because they want to do something. They want to feel some kind of way themselves. Now that you've become a good speaker, you connect to them.
How do I do it? How am I able to do it?
Okay.
They hear me speak and I'm very raw and real. How do you all these things? When I started getting down years ago, I realized I'm going to be somebody, and I'm searching for a feeling of true victory for myself, and only myself. The second I shut out the whole world and realized that one thing, that I am in this world alone. I'm fighting this race by myself. Yeah, I'm all about people, I'm all about team, I'm all about that shit. But I'm really all about right now and in my life, just like you said, no one knows the real truth about me, how hard I really go. I don't care if anybody knows. I don't want anybody to know. I'm an introvert. I live an introverted life. And I love that about me. That right there is my fuel. Is I know that there's really no one out there grinding like me. And if they are, so be it. If I know about you, I'll make sure that I up my game. That's what the mentality is all about. My whole thing is a mentality thing. Like I told you the last time I was on the show, I viewed myself as the weakest person on the planet Earth. My goal in life was to, in my mind, believe I'm the hardest man alive. And that's why the whole thing is
One more set. And then I'm changing the handle.
It's about whatever you think you are, you have to make that dream a reality. The hard part is that dream reality. That's where the hard work is. How do you keep grinding? You have to make those injuries, those feelings, like 100 pounds. I didn't have a job. I'm gonna go be a Navy SEAL. What kind of people should be at 300 pounds? I didn't have a job to go be a Navy SEAL. I was an insecure, lying kid, afraid. I had to look at my insecurities within my feelings and drive in that. We all have passion. That's what I'm doing. You can hold on, fucking stack of it. All those insecurities, all that shit. You got a lot of people in that shit. It's all in it. All the energy and fuel you need is right in yourself. It's all there. You got a lot of things to overcome. And, you know, that's where I found it. I found it right there in my own insecurities. I found drive in my own insecurities.
Yeah.
And that's the most powerful thing in the world. When you can
some
find drive
pronation.
in your own doubt,
That's what they have to work the most on, I think. And
it's
riser.
very unstoppable.
So we probably need to take a bit of weight off.
Changed me at a deep and fundamental level. I thought
Take
about
one off.
that. The number one question I get asked is, how do I find my passion? To which the answer is very rudimentary and maybe ultimately not as true and powerful as what you just said. Which is, there's another thing I need to tie this to that you talk about in the book, which is people have lost touch with their bodies. And you always tell people, if you want to change, go do something physically fucking demanding. Go find yourself in the suffering and the pain of doing something with your body. It is utterly fascinating to me. It's just hitting me now. I've never heard you say that before, so I'll reserve final judgment for round 3 when we come back together. But the thought of you feel lost, you feel insecure, you don't have a passion, you don't know what to do, you're reaching out to somebody, you need that help, you know you could do more, be more, and the answer is, you, in the last interview we did, you called it the bag of fuck, if I remember right. You reach into the bag of fuck and start changing those one by one. That may be the most extraordinary piece of advice I've ever, in fact, I would say, the way it's hitting you right now, that's the single most extraordinary piece of advice for self-transformation.
It's the truth. Who is sitting here right now today? This is the real me, obviously. But I'm gonna go kind of, I'm a very philosophical person. I'm gonna go there with you real quick.
Oh, nice.
I believe in a higher power. I don't know the names, don't know where it's coming from, don't know anything like that. But I believe that this power, and visualizing it, let's say it's a man or whatever, and they have a chart. And when you're born, they say David Gritans. Born February 17, 1975 at 6 a.m. They write the chart down because they can see everything. They know exactly where you're fucking supposed to be. They know what you're supposed to be. You die, go to so-called heaven. You arrive at heaven, I'm 300 pounds. I retired as an Ecolab guy, which is okay, just a job, whatever. I go up there and God looks at me and he shows me my chart. And my chart on there says you're supposed to be a Navy SEAL. You're supposed to be a Navy pilot. You're supposed to be one of the smartest people on the planet, this, and all this. You see this. And now you're in heaven, you made it to heaven, but you're like, God, I was supposed to live that life. I was supposed to live that life. And then you find out that the reason why, because we all think that if we pray on it, if we do this, if we do that, whatever, we don't work, we just, whatever, it's going to magically happen to us. No. I believe that when I'm all said and done with, my whole job is to outwork the chart. Whatever the fucking chart says about me, the all-knowing power up there, I want to get up there and say, him look at me and say, I know everything. I didn't fucking see this. I didn't fucking see this. I want to feel that. I want to get to the other end of this fucking world, and however I'm being judged, whoever's judging me, to look at me and say, I did not fucking know. I had you at 185, I had you at this, but all this other shit, I was riding as you were living it. I want to find more. All I can. And in that fucking sack of shit, you have to dive in that to find more. Because if you're not willing to go in there and face yourself, I can find anything. You're going to live right here on surface, man, right here on surface. So if there is an ending to this world, and there is somewhere to go, and there's a judgment, you're going to get there, you might see a chart. And that chart may tell you who the fuck you should have been. And then you get the rest of your life to think about, man, I could have lived a better life. I just would have just suffered a little bit more. If I just would have went in that shit and realized I had so much more. But fear and 40% and living here versus living here, being afraid, stop me. So that's, I'm a big guy in visualizing. I'm a big guy in making a world, it may not exist. To me it does. To me it does. And I'm overpowering myself every day. And you gotta find tools to do that. That's the tool you gotta use. So that's what it's all about.
God damn. You said in the book that the only thing to fear is not looking back at you in the mirror, instead of being powerful and seeing how tight it is. Is something else to that, or is it
That's all I'm talking about. Like your biggest enemy, the most important conversation you will ever have in your fucking life. If you haven't had it yourself. You wake up with it, you walk around with it, you go to bed with it, eventually you're going to act on
I can
it.
feel my left one is much weaker. In the wrist it's not so stable, it's moving.
It's about you. It's about you. It's strictly about you finding who you are. So many people die, over the years, never fucking know who they are. Never know who they are. You have to look in that mirror and know there's so much more here, man. Because I can literally right now be a 300-pound guy spraying for cockroaches still this day. If I did not look in that mirror and say, there has to be more to this. This can't be it. And then we're willing to go into it, dive deep into it, and give all I have to find it. So that's what all that's about.
And all that you've done and all that you've been through, help me understand, when you were given you did not have a happy childhood, I think that would be very fair to say. When you were given the VFW award recently, and you were listening to people that had impacted you, and you got to your mom, you couldn't even speak.
Yeah. It almost chokes me up now. So I got the VFW award for the Americanism Award for military service and giving back. I'm a shooting community. That's why what you see is what you get. At that moment when I was giving my speech, and I thanked my uncle for being there, and I got to my mom, it wasn't just about her. It was, I know what she went through, I know what I went through, and we got knocked down so much. I had a moment in front of all these great American heroes where I had a chance, it was like so fast, it went through me like lightning. I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm getting an award like this. That kid who was in the fetal position, the majority of his life. There's so much the fact that my body and my hip flexors are tight to this day. That even though I was standing erect, my mind was in the fetal position. And when I looked out amongst all these people, it was a sense of pride that I can't even it's the moments of 3 helmets. It's the moments of in that room by myself studying for hours and hours, and I was trying to catch up with all the kids who were above. It's just the moments, like the real moments of life. Boom, hit me. Oh, I was like, you know, it's like it's power behind all that shit. That's the feeling I was looking for. It wasn't money, it wasn't fame, it wasn't awards. It was that I feel a breakdown, but it's not of like, oh my God, I'm upset. It's like I worked myself.
This must be painful now.
That I turn a person this into this motherfucker. Not off of being a theorist. Going to work on myself and saying, I don't know how to do this. But I know that to get over there that other side, I gotta grind myself into a fucking fine powder. And I did it. Very few people will know how that feels. Very few.
I love that more than you could possibly know. Before I ask my last question, tell these guys where they can find the book.
So the book right now is called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And it's on Amazon right now. It's a raw, real book. It's not a 5-step book. It's a real book about developing habits on how to overcome yourself. And I believe all of us humans have an equation like, pi is 3.14. That's how you solve for that equation. Every human being has a different equation. And there's not like some cookie cutter book of, hey, read this book and you'll be fixed. No. You gotta figure out your own personal equation. And once you figure out that equation, you now become a mathematical fucking genius. About yourself. And that's what this book does. It makes you a fucking genius about who the fuck you are. And then from there, when she goes to Air Force Pi, you can solve any fucking equation in the world. That's what it's about.
My last question, what's the impact that you want to have on the world?
The impact I want to have in the world is for everybody to be able to face who they are. And have that kind of impact where you can go on TV. You can put your life on a billboard. You're not ashamed of who the fuck you are. You're not ashamed of what life made you. What you thought life made you. All that shit. All that bad shit that's now in this big pot that's stirring. You're no longer ashamed of it.
Starting from this position,
You realize
this is probably
we're
not
all
the best
fucked up.
position to start from. I should
Stop
probably
judging
maintain
yourself
my
against other fucked up people who have
position
hidden
like this,
it.
and then
That's all they've done. They've masked their shit better than you have, and now they're flipping it back on you and saying you're fucked
somebody
up.
of you know.
I want you to realize that in this world, life is one thing perfect. Unless you want to play the motherfucking head game, you don't want the game anymore at all. You just start living your life.
Thank you so much for coming.
I think I should remove the weight after this.
I read it. It is extraordinary.
Properly.
It is one of the most amazing manuals for how to change your life ever. And just this interview, I think, could be transformative for some people. And the book goes into so much more detail and really reaches into you and shows you how to do it in your own life. He helps you find that 3.14 for you so that you can go out and do the things that you need to do. But the things that I hope that you take away from him, be honest with yourself. Be raw, but understand that you can fix it. Stop tolerating mediocrity. You have to detest mediocrity in your life, and you have to understand the only way you're going to meet yourself is through pain and suffering. And if you can become a master of suffering, the things that you can do with your life are truly amazing. You can truly break free of all the limiting beliefs that you've put on yourself, your circumstances put on you, your family has put on you, experts have put on you, whatever it is. You can get rid of all of that and completely blow your own mind with what you're capable of. And then you will have a story. You will have a dog story.
I like this exercise. I should definitely work on it more. Strengthens the resting position. It seems to help the pain in the elbows. I think it helps if
that
you
episode with our boy
do it nice
David
way.
Goggins. And now,
More often, I think it heals your elbows very well.
about our friends.
Sometimes it's my opinion,
Wix is
even
an
not.
awesome website building platform that lets you create your own amazing site with ease. With 2019 right around the corner, you may be looking to find a job, start your own business, create a blog, YouTube channel, whatever, even put a portfolio of work together. Whatever you're doing, to execute, it starts with an amazing website. So the world should get excited about what you're doing, what you're building. Lisa and I know this firsthand. Our very first business, Billy Photography, was built on our own website. So we know to reach your audience to build a site. And of course with Quest, that was everything. Building the site from scratch to get people amped up, to build that direct consumer relationship, that was everything. I just wish that we had Wix back then, because Wix is the easiest and fullest featured website builder around, and you can use it to create your own customized site for completely free. Wix takes care of all the heavy lifting with reliable hosting to keep your website safe, email marketing ideas, simple ways to manage invoices, and a whole lot more. Getting started is free. It's that simple. Just click on the description below. And what I love about Wix is that they give you total creative freedom. What I mean by that is that it offers infinite, literally infinite design possibilities, making each website unique and original to your vision. So to make it easy, Wix has a straightforward site building process, tons of site gadgets, hundreds of templates for your very specific needs, great mobile site building tools, and amazing support if you ever have an issue or question. So there's a solution for any need that you guys have. Wix blog, Wix booking, Wix restaurants, Wix forum, Wix stores, and more. But most importantly, once you've created a website, you'll be surprised at just how much that will improve your business, traffic, and opportunities with a professional and creative branding. You know, momentum matters, and I'm telling you that the easiest way to begin building that momentum is to have a really professional, high-quality website that's easy to use and brings value to your customers. It is the only way you can build that community you need to actually get your project off the ground. You're having the most incredible time. This is all possible.
This kind of training often, so
many reasons that we love Wix here at Impact Theory, and we're thrilled that we're able to bring it to you guys and help you on your journey, all for free. So whether you're a business owner, advanced designer, blogger, aspiring investor, or anyone in between, get after it with Wix. Just click the link in the description below and create the website that you want. All right, guys, enjoy and be legendary. Take care.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching and being a part of this community. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. You're going to get weekly videos on building a growth mindset, cultivating grit, and unlocking your full potential.
Can't even close anymore. Before I'm wrecked. Probably do. The idea was to do 1 hour training, so we have about 19 minutes left.
SEALs like, oh my God, you know, like we could use this guy to try to get the 1% of the African Americans in Navy SEALs up to maybe 2%.
Oh, okay.
And so I hit the road and started doing that. But I also I'm not a big guy on social media. So I was actually happy to kind of pull away from it. You know, I'm just not big on that stuff. Even today, I'm just not a big fan of it, man. I'm a big introvert. I get a lot of my strength from being introverted. And going out there and doing what I do is all this is very difficult for me, man. All of it.
Yeah, it's funny when you say you're introverted because you're so good, you know, when it comes to sharing your story, and it's so compelling. And you know, there's a lot of people out there like quote unquote like influencers. You know, wow, like this guy's got, I don't know, what do you have, like 600,000 plus on Instagram or something like that. Yeah. And for somebody you're averse to it, you don't like it, you hate it, you only post once in a while. You don't really advertise what you're doing at all, but you've grown this huge following of people who are super interested in what you're doing.
Well, I think it's important to do things you don't like, and I was very ashamed of my life story for a long time. I didn't want to go out and tell anybody shit about me, so that's why I had two people. I had created one David Goggins and one Goggins.
Right.
And I didn't really know that I had all these issues. After a while, people start to give you these different taglines. You know, like, you're superhuman, you're amazing. I'm like, you fuckers don't know anything about me, man. I'm this insecure kid. I started realizing there's a lot of people out here who are going through a lot of problems that I once tapped into. You know, I had a whole bunch of issues growing up. And, you know, I felt compelled to just, you know what? You gotta start sharing this stuff, man, because people see where you're at today. They see where you're at today. They see the man you are today, this hard, rock hard human being. Show these people where you come from. Right. Show these people it's possible.
It's funny when you're reading the book, like once you get into the later chapters, like 6, 7, or 8, you know, all the way to the end, you start to forget chapters 1 and 2.
That's right.
And you start thinking this guy is a superhuman, and then you got to remind yourself, like, oh man, look where he came from.
Well, actually, in the audiobook, while Adam was reading, we have a moment where we stop because we're like 6 or 7, 6, 7, 8, when I start doing all these crazy feats and start going way beyond the limits for myself. And I tell people, while you're hearing this, I know you guys have already forgotten about how I came up. Don't forget the torture I endured mentally and physically in one month. Going through all this shit. So don't ever forget that. So people forget that so quickly when they get to that 7, 8, 9, 10 chapters. So it's
yeah. We should just mention the audiobook. I mean, the book is amazing, but the audiobook is next level. And part of that is because you guys kind of broke the paradigm here. You made this somewhat risky decision to have Adam read most of the book and get into the reasons behind it. Well considered. But then after each chapter, you and I break it down on podcasts, like informally, where you just freestyle what that chapter was all about, and that just brings it to life in like this technical way, which makes it just such a compelling experience.
Well, everything I do, I try to do my very best. And now that I'm out here trying to share this story with people, I want to be so real and so fucking authentic to the point where it was embarrassing to me.
Hopefully that's the last one.
Some stuff, and I was giving it to Adam, and we were going back and forth. I'm like, man, I was talking to my fiance, and I really want people to fucking know this about me.
But that's the power.
And that's the
strength that you have to summon to be that vulnerable, because that's how people are going to be able to emotionally connect.
Exactly.
When they look at what you've done at that water and all the buds and all that kind of stuff, it becomes difficult for people to relate to that. But
right.
When you have the strength and the fortitude to share those parts of your life that embarrass you or provoke shame, that's the real thing.
I had to show people I was human. People didn't think I was human. I came from outer space, man, from some spacecraft and shit, and here it is, formed gods from the rocks, the soul of the earth. No, it's not how it is, man. So I said, I'm gonna share a secret with you all.
Well, in one of the recaps, you tell Adam writing this book was the hardest thing you've ever done. And as somebody who's done a lot of hard shit, that was a surprising thing.
How come the
stream is up? Because I did a really good job by creating this guy now. So I can just go by and just live by this guy here. This is who I am.
Do you think of it as like this, because you refer to yourself in the third person all the time, right? So it's like this character that you're trying to aspire to be that's distinct from you, like you create this like division? How does that work?
It's a big division because when I talk to people, like I see where I'm at today, but I know where I come from. And it's kind of hard to almost separate that. I'm almost, not in a way I'm kissing my own ass, but I'm amazed at what a human being can actually do. So when I start talking to myself in the third person, it's strictly because I know that I literally made this human being out of just like a whole bunch of scraps.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't, I wasn't a mechanic. I wasn't a carpenter, so I didn't know how to do any of this shit. I wasn't trained in how to build a human being from nothing. Like my mom didn't train me, my dad didn't train me, life didn't train me. Well, life did train me.
Yeah.
Life did train me, correction. And I started putting this scrap metal together. Like, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. The first year I tried to do it was all fucked up. And after a while, I started learning more and more and more through pain and suffering. I started learning so much about stuff. Before I knew it, man, I built this beautiful car. I'm like, how the fuck did I do that? And I knew how, and I know how to do it because I have all the tools. Through all the failure I went through trying to build this person who's God is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was something that came across loud and clear, which is, it's not like you developed this toolbox and then everything worked out.
No.
No. There's so many ups and downs and highs and lows, and you're constantly getting knocked down again.
Now the Home Depot shopping for that toolbox.
Yeah. And I think the real gift that's built into this whole thing is how you reframe vulnerability. Like we tend to think of vulnerability as a weakness or somebody who's soft, and you embody it in a completely different structure to show people that it is strength. Like if you want to be hard and you want to be strong, vulnerability and open-mindedness are the keys to that kingdom.
You said it perfectly there. The one thing that made me who I am today is being vulnerable. It's breaking myself down to the absolute rock bottom and being able to tell people who I am. And that's how I fixed it. Literally, being able to look somebody in the eye and say, oh man, I have a whole bunch of character problems, character flaws. I lied about this, I cheated here, I'm insecure here. This isn't the real me. I lied to you about that. I want to get acceptance in life. All those things happen. The thing about it is that we get judged so quickly by who we are. We don't go to where it happened. Life created this person, me. Life created me to be this fucked up person that I was back in the day.
Okay.
And I had to realize, man, that's okay, man. It's not my fault. Now I gotta go back and fix this shit, though. So a lot of this isn't your fault. Why you do some things you do, why you feel the way you feel. But no one's coming back to save your ass. You have to go back to where the shit started. Whatever that place is for everybody. And you have the courage to go back there and start fixing what broke you. And that's when I say, hey, I'm fucked up. I'll go back and fix this.
You have to be honest with yourself
100%.
about where you're at.
100%.
People don't like that.
Oh, it's ugly.
Yeah.
And what's funny about it is that as you're trying to fix yourself and dig yourself out of this deep hole that life, society, and you helped also. Those people who you saw down there in that hole who were there with your friends and people who you counted on, because you meet the people in the same situation that you're in life. Those people become your friends. Instead of you trying to get out of that situation and become better, those people are in that grave, in that dungeon, just yanking at your heels, man. Saying, get the fuck back. Oh no, come on back here, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna make me feel like shit, like you getting out of this hole.
Who the fuck do you think you are?
So I get that all the time now. People would constantly remind me of who I used to be back in the day. And they always come out of the woodworks, man. Versus my
That's still happening?
You know what? When you come from a small town, and you come from a place that a lot of people don't want to come out of it and get out of it, and all you want to do is become somebody, when you have small town mentality is a new mentality. You gotta be able to get out and let your mind see open-mindedness. In a small town, what it does to you is it closes your mind. Completely closes your mind. Not everybody. This isn't everybody. A lot of people. You have to be able to go out there and create open-mindedness. You need space. need space to see the world. Like a lot of racism, a lot of ignorance in the world, it comes from people not being out and seeing other things, seeing other people, seeing all kinds of shit. That's why we judge so harshly. Because our minds are so closed to the reality of life. Period.
Have you been back to Brazil?
I went back to Brazil a couple of times, and I have nothing wrong with Brazil. Because once again, you can't, the thing about growth is you can't hold on to hate. You can't hold on to hate and see, once you take a different step. So I take a step out of my life, because once you're in that moment, that's all you see. Is what's in front of you. When I stepped out of it, I saw Brazil very different. There were a lot of good people in Brazil. Some of the best people I knew from Brazil. But when you're in hell, all you see is a little patch in front of you of the kids that are calling you nigger. Of the people that spray painted nigger were going to kill you on your car. People put that shit in your locker. People put that shit on your notebook in Spanish class. That's all you see. You didn't see that. My God, a lot of people fucking like me here. So once you take a step back and see the reality of the true ignorance that you're dealing with from a small group of people, that's when you get growth. Because, I went through a phase in the book I talked about, man, I was all about black and only black. When I was a junior in high school, I was so beat down. I was the most ignorant I've ever been in my fucking life when I went there. I totally took everything, all the hurt, all the pain, just put it in one fucking filter. I gotta find people who look just like me and act just like me to find acceptance.
That when you were doing the crazy haircuts.
That's the crazy haircuts. Watching Malcolm X video every damn night on the phone and shit. Yeah.
So the last time you were here, we kind of recapped your story chronologically, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but there's a lot of new people listening, so I think it's worthwhile to kind of catch people up on exactly who is David Hawkins and where you were, where you came from, what you endured, and how you arrived at this place. Is there a way to do that concisely?
I can do it pretty quick, yes. I was my dad was skating in some bars, and he was a very insecure and he was an alcoholic. He
this is not holding anymore.
Getting women for favors. So my dad, I'm not saying he's a pimp. I don't want to say he's a pimp, but that's how I look at it. My mom said the proper way to say this is that your dad used to get women, and he would exchange women for favors. So there you go.
That's pretty much it.
He's a pimp, right? He's a fucking pimp. So basically, that's my dad. He was a guy that didn't care much about anything but himself.
But he was kind of a baller.
He was a baller. You O.J. Simpson, big time. You all the Buffalo Bills. Him and Rick James were best friends. Wow. So we had two different sides. There was a side that everybody saw, which was the side of this man. Your dad's so damn cool, man. He's awesome. And we lived on Paradise Road. The second that door was shut in that house, it was game on. The real him would come out. It was a perfect Jekyll and Hyde. So when you're born into that as a young kid, and you're getting beat for no reason. I'm not, whippings are whippings, man. But this guy would beat you for no reason, just because he was drunk, just because he saw you, whatever.
It's like kind of like an Ike Turner character.
Ike Turner probably on steroids.
Right.
So that's who he was, and he was a perfect person for psychological warfare. The beatings were horrible, but the mind torture was the worst. He got so deep in my head as a young kid, and that really fucks up your foundation. When you're born, man, there's some sensitive years in there, man, where your brain starts to develop. It starts to give you self-esteem, courage, confidence, all those things. And my dad was stripping that away from everybody. And when you see your mom, the worst thing to do is when you see your mom getting beat senseless at a young kid. That shit scars you permanently.
I mean, she was like a prisoner.
She was a prisoner.
And what you guys had to do to escape and get away from him was like insane.
So she was 19 when she went there. And she was an innocent 19-year-old. And she came from a great family. And she met this man. And totally just, it was brutal. It was very sadistic the way she was tortured by him, and the way my brother and myself were. And that broke me and my brother up. My brother loved my father a lot. He saw something very different than I saw. Because whenever my mom and I would get beat, my brother, I'm not calling him a coward by any means. He handled it very different than I did. He would go in his room. He didn't want to see the beatings. I would protect my mother. So in that, I saw a lot more of the violence. I was trying to protect her, and me trying to protect her, I really got beat. So when you're constantly in that battle and that struggle, and your brother's going to a different room because he didn't want to be part of this shit, and he loved family. You know, he loves family, and I became the person like, hey man, about it.
And you had to shoulder the responsibility, this idea within you that you were responsible for making sure that your mom would be safe.
And that was hard for an 8-year-old kid. Because when we moved to that small town of Indiana, I had a learning disability. I was studying. I was battling so much shit that I never.
It's definitely a good exercise to
because she was battling
train on your
her
static
own
hold.
So
Your back pressure.
I'm looking for
Even better to attack your riser is probably if you hold it up high over your knuckle.
Real protective of my mother.
So there's more pressure for your riser.
Whatever you're going through, man, you're on your fucking own. You're not gonna tell your mom shit.
And then I'm done.
And she didn't find out later through the school systems and through me failing and through me
enough for the first
all these issues I went through. She found out a lot. But you know, I kept as much as I could from her, man, and that really was a hard task for me to raise yourself when you're already in the deepest, darkest dungeon of all time. And I think that's where I started really creating myself. I had to really start creating a certain pattern, a certain process, a certain indestructible toolbox to handle my life.
Well, you were on this trajectory to nowhere pretty quick, but the kind of inciting incident that starts to shift your trajectory is this Air Force guy that comes in, right? Like you develop this obsession
enough for today.
Right.
And
thank you everyone
meet this dude who survived that parachuting.
Right.
Parachuting gone very wrong.
Let's level up together and do some training.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that seems like the first sort of glimmer of hope that you might find your way in a different, you know.
So, like I talked about a lot, it started off with the Rocky and Rambo movies.
Right.
You know, those were kind of like my fathers when I was coming up. But then when I finally met this guy named Scott Guerin, this guy that fell, you know, he had a parachute accident. A guy crashed through his parachute.